Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan Pienaar, a scout and rover from South Africa, and I'm also a WASM youth representative for the Africa region. I would like to share with you today my story about my journey and my time at KISC. I'm talking to you today from my beautiful scout hall in Johannesburg. It is located in a suburb called Bryanston, which is just north of Joburg. My KISC story starts all the way back in January of 2018 when I had the opportunity to travel to Kandersteg with my family. Thankfully in 2018 we had the privilege of traveling to Kandersteg and spending a week in the Swiss Alps. While at the center we partook in many of the activities that Kandersteg has to offer. So we did skiing for 3 days in the Alps. We also did the snow adventure day, so we went and built an igloo. And from what I can remember, we had an Argentinian Pinkie who showed us and helped us along the way. And we are forever grateful to him because he really helped us experience Kandersteg in a way that no other place would allow you to. The experience my family and I had in Kandersteg was one of awe and amazement. Coming in on the train to Kandersteg, you get a sense of just how incredible the country of Switzerland is. In South Africa we have our views and our wildlife, but those mountains are just something absolutely incredible. And it was there that I fell in love with Kandersteg and the place and the ideals that KISC stands for. So upon leaving KISC with my family, I said to them, one day I will come back to KISC and one day I would like to work here as a Pinkie. My second opportunity to travel to Kandersteg came about due to the International Rover Week, which KISC ran over the New Year's, the 2022-2023 New Year's week. I received the notification about the advocacy training course from my NSO Scout South Africa as well as the Africa Scout region, and I was encouraged to apply. Instantly I was super excited and I did apply. And that application I finished in about 2 days, and I didn't hear back for about 3 weeks, and I started to get worried that I hadn't made the cut, that I wasn't accepted. But nonetheless I persevered through, and eventually I got an email back from the event organizer saying I had been accepted, what is my visa availability. So immediately I went and applied, and thankfully my visa was approved within a few days, and I was ready to go to Kandersteg. Eventually the day came that I had to fly out to Switzerland, and I was very excited, also a little bit nervous having to travel on my own. I didn't know what to expect, I didn't know how to travel. It was my first time traveling overseas on my own, so naturally I was nervous about what to expect. Nonetheless, I safely arrived in Switzerland and I was on the train to Kandersteg. And coming through the tunnel into the Kandersteg Valley, I was just awestruck again at the beauty of Switzerland and what it meant for me. One of the thoughts that hit me while I was traveling through the village to go to KISC was that I would have to spend a whole week with 28 other people from all over the world who I'd never met before. At first I was nervous at what to expect. I didn't know how these people would react to me, and I didn't know what language they'd speak and if I could speak their language. Thankfully, as I checked in at reception, a fellow Africa youth rep who I'd been corresponding with through Teams, Zoom, but I'd never met before, walked in through the reception area, and instantly we recognized each other and we greeted each other, and that was the first time we'd ever met in person. Once we had checked in, I was able to go with him and explore the village until the event started later that evening. While in the village we got to see other scouts wearing their scarves, and we got to chat and share information about each other's countries. During the International Rover Week I got to interact with participants and staff members from over 30 countries, and it was truly something special. I don't have time to go into the list of every country and every person that I interacted with, but just know that each of them has a special place in my heart. I feel truly privileged to be exposed to this level of international scouting and high-level discussions that took place during the advocacy training. One of the most inspiring activities that I got to partake in was that of the International Rover Weeks marketplace. This was an opportunity for the rovers to share their experiences on implementing projects within their communities, countries, or region. This was a great idea as we were able to learn from each other and share ideas which could change the world. I was fortunate enough to present a keynote speech that I had previously presented on behalf of WASM at the World Food Forum. This speech discussed what Scouts are doing around the world to tackle SDG 11, which is Sustainable Communities and Cities, and SDG 2, which is Zero Hunger. One of the rather funny outcomes from presenting this presentation was that one of the project leaders from one of the projects that I'd picked in my presentation was a staff member and was helping run the International Rover Week. It was truly incredible to be able to meet up with one of these heroes that I had put in my presentation. The International Rover Week is a once-in-a-lifetime experience that can only be offered by movements as vast as Scouting. And I think I speak for all of the participants when I say we are truly grateful to KISC for the week. It meant a lot to all of us. Saying goodbye was probably one of the hardest things I've had to do, as the other participants were essentially family and we were all clicking and working together. I was even able to make friends from countries which don't even speak English as their first language. I made a lot of friends from Spanish-speaking countries, and as a result, estoy aprendiendo español, which is not something that is widely spoken in this country. One of the outcomes from the International Rover Week is having the ability to implement a project in our home country or our communities. We were challenged by the event organizers to implement a project, which meant a lot to us. One of the biggest issues within South Africa at the moment, if you all haven't heard by now, is the load shedding situation. This is where we have intermittent blackouts due to lack of capacity within the power grid. I felt that there was a way that green energy production could tie in to reducing this issue within our community. But I was warned that this is a very political issue which is not easily solved by just adding solar panels. As a result, I turned to something that's also an issue within our country, and that's the issue of litter. A lot of our parks and rivers and roadsides have litter lying alongside them. And tying in with my NSO's national challenge, the Champions for Nature badge, I've been able to implement a project which looks at tackling both the environment side of advocacy and the social side of advocacy. The project I'm implementing within my country looks at ways in which Scouts can improve their environment and contribute to a more sustainable South Africa. A number of activities which I've already completed include talking at various Scouting events on what Africa region as a whole are doing to improve the sustainability, as well as running our Gauteng Regional Youth Forum, which looked at ways in which us as Scouts and adult volunteers can make Scouting more sustainable. A number of successful resolutions were passed at that youth forum and is paving the way for sustainable Scouting within the province. A couple of other activities which I still need to implement before the end of the year include a Nelson Mandela Day project. This looks at encompassing the entirety of South Africa by asking Scouts from all over, some 9,000 Scouts, to go pick up bread tags and plastic bottle tops. Those will be collected over the course of the month, and then at the end of July will be donated to an NGO which will recycle those plastic bottle tops and bread tags and will turn them into wheelchairs. These wheelchairs will be donated to underprivileged children who cannot afford wheelchairs themselves. The final project which I'm looking to implement towards the end of the year is creating guidelines and sustainable practices for Scouts from across South Africa on how to implement sustainable events. This will include drafting up resolutions, practice notes, and hopefully one day guidelines on how Scouts can go about being more sustainable within their events. I look forward to finishing off this project and seeing what impact it has on South Africa and Scouting as a whole. During the implementation of these activities, I've faced many challenges. One of the biggest challenges has been managing university work and Scouting. To implement these projects takes a lot of time, effort, and planning for a successful activity. So that's my story of how my life ties into KISC. Now, I'd just like to take the opportunity to thank everyone at the Kandersteg International Scout Center, as well as the planning team, for the awesome program they put together during the International Rover Week. I'm sure they've heard it from everyone, but that was truly something special. To be able to meet people from all over the world, share ideas, and change the world. This is what scouting is all about. So I thank you for your time and effort into this event. Muchas gracias, and thank you all for listening, and thank you for changing lives. I hope you all have a great Members Weekend. Thank you.